On this episode, we're going to chat with Melissa from the YouTube channel Melissa Alexandria. Melissa is a minimalist, and she has some fantastic videos on a lot of different minimalist topics.
If you're a minimalist and you're on YouTube, chances are you've seen one or many of her videos. She has a very popular channel for good reason. Unfortunately, during the recording of this interview, we had some glitches and our software didn't record our faces, but it got Melissa's face and it got the audio. So apologies for that, but the content is well worth it.
Hi guys! I'm really excited to be on your show. I've watched the first couple of ones that you guys put out. I watched the Minimalist S01, and I'm a big fan of her channel as well, so that was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
excited to chat with you guys.
We're excited to have you.
Well, why don't we start off by giving you the chance to just explain what minimalism means to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge question. Thank you. Minimalism means a lot to me. I think the longer that I've, been into simplifying my life, the more things show up that I never thought I would even relate to, which is really cool. I mean, when I first started out, it was just about finances, and I thought it was just about, being able to live a lot easier without having so many expenses. And then it's really turned into more of a spiritual and, mental, emotional journey. So it means a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was wondering also if you could just take a couple minutes to tell us a little bit about your journey and how you did mention that it started for financial reasons, and then just kind of tell us about how it, progressed into this.
Yeah, well, for me personally, the first time I guess I got my feet wet with minimalism was when traveling. So I went overseas to Australia. It was just supposed to be for 3 months. I ended up staying over there for over a year and a half, and I did a bunch of trips. So I did Southeast Asia, I did New Zealand, India, so many different places, like over 10 countries. Wow. And obviously it's a lot easier to travel with less, and as you continue to travel, you learn that, like, okay, what's essential? I don't need this, I'm not using this. It's actually a physical burden to carry so much with you. And then that was just like the physical aspect. And for saving up to continue doing the traveling, I obviously worked in Australia, and I was shocked. I saved something like, I think, $14,000 in 4 or 5 months, and it was Australian dollars, but it's still a lot. Yeah. And it was just shocking because I was literally spending all my time just focusing on working and living in the moment, and excited about my trip, that I didn't notice I wasn't shopping, and I didn't notice I wasn't going out for expensive meals, and I really didn't miss it that much. So it just taught me a lot.
Was working your main focus in life at that point, or were you still having time to do fun other things as well?
When I was in Australia working, well, I had traveled all of the East Coast, and then I went to the West Coast, and I got a job. It was like a cafe type thing, and they were open 24 hours. So the boss there kind of said, you can choose what hours you want to work and how many hours you want to work. So if I wanted to spend the day at the beach, I would spend the day at the beach and then just work in the evening and kind of, have a bit of both. So it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened after this vacation or this life change there.
Yeah, so I went back. I was still living with my parents at the time, so I went back to Vancouver, and I was just obviously shocked when I got back to my bedroom and I opened my closet, and I just had like hundreds of just dresses, and like I think as a lot of girls do, especially like when you're young. I still had stuff from when I was a teenager, just tons of stuff that I had accumulated, and tons of makeup, tons of hair accessories, and everything that you could possibly think of. And it was just such a stark contrast to how I had been living for a year and a half. And I just really realized, like, I'm still me without all this stuff. You can still be, and that's kind of another thing that I learned. Like, a lot of people think minimalism means that I have to take away the things that I like and like the qualities you enjoy about yourself. Like, I still consider myself a girly girl kind of person, and I know, Tess, you do hair, and so you can still have that kind of experience of being girly and having those kind of things without having to hoard stuff and without having to have to be a shopaholic. And so I kind of just realized about myself, and I kind of just thought, well, if I achieved what I did financially and life-wise in Australia, why can't I just like replicate that in my, real life back home? And so I just started to really tear down things, and yeah.
That's awesome.
So you say your closet was really bad. Was it really bad, or were you just like everyone else?
So I think just comparing it to what I had in Australia and when I was traveling to when I got home, and I just saw the difference. I had like a backpack with maybe 20 items of clothing, and I still felt that I could get, like, I had a couple dresses, so that I still felt like I could go out for a nice dinner when I was traveling. I still had my running shoes and my, yoga clothes, and I wasn't lacking in any part of my life, but it was just so downsized. And then when I came home, I was like, why do I have all this stuff that I'm never going to use? And it made it a lot easier to kind of just put it into perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So the viewers that don't know you very well, you weren't a hoarder. I mean, you weren't. It wasn't like out of control, but just when you compare it to coming from a simpler life, it feels like a big difference. And
yeah. Well, I think, for example, like I've always been really smart money-wise. I've never really gotten myself into really bad credit card debt or anything like that for shopping. But I think it's easy when you come back to, I mean, I'm going to say North America, but a lot of different places. When you come back to your reality where you are in a very consumerist society, it's easy to say, well, I'm not so bad because I'm not the one who's spending all that money on credit cards, or I only bought 10 items, I didn't buy 100 items, because there's so many people who you could say are, worse than you are at hoarding or at shopping, and it's easy to just pacify that and just say, like, I'm not so bad, I can get by with this stuff, but I kind of wanted to take it to the next level.
So before you went to Australia, did you ever think you had a lot of stuff?
I didn't really think about it, no. I thought, to be honest, and this is going to sound bad, but there's part of our society that makes it okay and that kind of makes it cute. Like, I've had my parents say, oh, Melissa, she'll buy like 10 pairs of shoes, and, and it's kind of like, okay. It's like, I don't know how it is for guys, but definitely for girls, there is that culture that says, like, it's cool to have, 50 pairs of shoes lined up in your closet, and you want to show that off to people. Like, that's kind of seen as a desirable thing to have, or to say, like, to show off, take a picture on Instagram with like 50 shopping bags that you just went to the mall or whatever. There's a part of that is kind of made to be cool in our society, and so I never really looked at it for what it was, and I never really thought about where these items of clothing are being made and like what impact it's really having outside of my own little bubble. So yeah.
Yeah. And that actually kind of leads us into something that I was excited to hear you talk about some more, and that is, could you, first of all, could you just take a moment to explain to our viewers the difference between fast fashion versus slow fashion?
Yeah, totally, and this is something I'm working on right now, because everyone's been asking me to help them know what brands, so I've just been putting a huge list of some awesome brands. But basically, fast fashion, and I don't like to say any names just because I don't want to,
Sure.
shame anyone.
We're not here to smear people, right?
Yeah, basically, fast fashion are the big brands that are on every single corner and every mall in North America and pretty much worldwide, that are constantly having a new line of clothing coming out once a week, and the items are sold for a fraction of what they should be if they were actually made in an ethical way. And a lot of these garments are being made overseas in really unsafe conditions by people who are being completely overworked just to be able to just scrape by and have enough money to live. And I made a video on the documentary The True Cost. You should definitely check that one out. And there's another one that I forget the name of right now, but they take a bunch of teenagers from the States, I believe, and put them into the places where they're made, like the sweatshops, and like give them the experience of seeing what it's like to make the clothes they buy, and like they were all just in tears by the end of it, and yeah, it's shocking.
That's really cool. And I know that you go into detail on your channel, but for the sake of this video, maybe people who haven't seen your stuff yet, obviously hope they're going to go over and check out your channel, but could you just talk about maybe just like one or two little things that people can do?
The number one thing you can do, and people don't want to hear this, is to just shop less. because a lot of people want to just keep their habits and stay in their comfort zone, and the idea that they might have to change something or, you know, just puts them off and they don't even want to bother. But the biggest thing you can suggest, the clothing that you already have or the ones that you're about to purchase, really make sure that they're going to last and that they're going to, you know, you're going to get the full use of, because otherwise you don't know that they might just end up in a landfill, and that's the opposite of what we want to happen. So another alternative, if you don't want to, like if you're not sure about brands, because a lot of the time you can start digging into different companies and you find out that, yeah, you just find out a bunch of it just becomes like a big mess. Like you think they're okay, and then you start really reading it that they're hiring other companies to do these things, and it's not good. But basically shopping at secondhand stores is a great one, because the money is not going to that brand, it's going to the secondhand shop. And where I am, there's a lot of charity shops, so they'll have like a specific one that's like a cancer foundation or a sick kids hospital, and all of the profits go to that charity, and the people who are working at the shops are volunteers. So that's a really good way to go as well.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
How else has minimalism and your research in this changed the way that you purchase things?
It just makes me really question things before I do them, because I used to do things a lot more mindlessly, just about me. It's like, do I need this? Yeah, I'll grab this. But when you actually start to slow down and just have a thought process around everything and really question things, I think that's really important, just to question your decisions before you do them. And it's not just about you. So really thinking like, how is this impacting other people? A, I really need this item. B, is this the best place that I can be purchasing this item from? And just to kind of go from there. So just to be more mindful about your decisions in general. And it can go for clothing as well as food. Food is a big one. That could be a whole nother video. But yeah.
Absolutely. That's great. And I'm just curious, I mean, now that you've eliminated a lot of extra stuff from your life, what have you gained? Like, what have you put in your life in place of that?
To be honest, I guess this is going to sound weird, but my favorite thing that I've gained is nothingness and just having space. Like, you couldn't say that you, like, a lot of people would say, I want to get rid of all this stuff in my home so that I can put this in and have this workspace or this exercise space. But I actually just like to have some physical space around me, and it just feels nice to, for example, to walk into your closet and to not have so much everywhere. We have so many choices in our modern life already. It's just nice to be able to have a breather, and especially when you come into your home, to have it be a place of like serenity, kind of peacefulness, and yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'm curious if, do you feel like minimalism has had an effect on any of your relationships with the people in your life?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have a lot more time to offer the people in my life. That's one thing. When you're not so busy in your head and constantly thinking about, I need to do this, I have to work, especially because I did quit my full-time job, so I've got a lot more time to just redirect into other important areas of my life. So yeah, it gives me more time to spend with other people and to focus on them, just about what I need or what I want or what I want to buy. So that's nice. And it has made it difficult in some aspects, like not everyone fully gets it. And most of the people in my life are really supportive, but I guess if you get into a conversation with some people and they're really asking, when you push up against what's considered normal, like it makes some people uncomfortable because they think that you're attacking them. So I'm a vegan, so I'm used to getting that from people, but yeah, so I mean, when you are talking about you're cutting down on shopping and what's going on in other places, a lot of people are like I don't think about that. You can't change that, so why bother thinking about that? So that's a response that I've gotten from people as well.
Yeah, and for our viewers out there, Melissa has a really good video about what if your friends or significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, aren't into minimalism and you are, what can you do? There's lots of good advice there. We're going to link it up above so you can click to it.
And veganism, since Melissa is a vegan, she talks about that.
So how about financially? Have you seen your finances change at all based on this. Tell us about that.
Totally. It's just made things a lot easier. And the funny thing is that the less you spend, the more money you end up having. Like if you've got that same income, obviously, simple math will show you that you spend less, you'll have more. But the funny thing is that your relationship with money changes because you realize that it's really not everything. And you could go into minimalism to simplify, like focus solely on finances, but then what you find is that money really isn't everything, and you start to focus a lot less money than you think you would.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Is there anything else that
I'm powering through these.
No,
I know,
you're
rapid
killing it.
fire.
You're doing great. What is the hardest part about minimalism?
The hardest part, I guess, it's not, I don't know. For me, to be honest, I would say nothing because I really enjoy it, and it's just brought so much joy to my life that I'm not going to say that there's anything that has been that hard. But I guess other people, like explaining it to other people, the gift-giving situation can be awkward if people want to buy stuff. And if it's something that's new to you, you could feel uncomfortable. A lot of the time what we do is just we live our life, or we make choices based on fitting in, or based on, making sure that other people don't think we're weird, or making sure that other people get us. So, for example, when I first, I'm an all or nothing kind of person. So when I really decided to simplify my life and I knew that I wanted to quit my full-time job, I went and got a basement apartment that I shared with 2 other girls, super cheap rent, walking distance from my job, so I didn't have to have a car or bus or anything. It was good exercise. And I just cut down my expenses like crazy because I knew that I wanted to be able to leave that job. And there were times during that period where people are like, what are you doing? Like, people would just say, let's go out, let's go do this, and let's go do that. And I'm like, I have this plan, this is really important to me, and I really want to change my life, so no thank you. And definitely people didn't get that. And you have to be okay with the fact that people aren't always going to get it, especially when you're doing something new and something different.
Have you ever... do you regret having gotten rid of anything? Is there anything you wish you could have back that you got rid of?
One time I threw out a charger that was for something that I still had, because that was a mistake. I thought that I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And then it's a tiny thing, but you know what? It was like $10 and I got one secondhand, so it's fine. But so no, not really. No clothing or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, it's just stuff. Like, people just put so much emotional energy into things, and we think that, like, if I let go of that, like, part of me is gone, and it's really not. It's just stuff. Like, every memory that you put into an item, that's you doing that. You're choosing to attach it to that. And I don't know, I know a lot of people would say, like, well, like, my aunt gave me this, so I have to keep all of them. But the truth is, there are alternatives. You can photograph that. You can write a journal entry about the emotional connection you had and look at that journal entry, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of different things. You don't have to keep the physical items.
Absolutely. Have you ever had any relapses where you went back and just shopped like crazy?
I'm trying to think. I've done that with food. Like, food is the only thing that I shop crazy about, but not really. No, not with clothes. And if you do that, there are alternatives to just throwing it out or donating it. You can ask your family and friends, or you can re-gift those items. If you buy yourself a bunch of stuff, just hold on to those and then give them to people for their birthdays or Christmas. So
very cool.
You can still get rid of it from your closet.
Well, Melissa, we have had so much great advice from you. We want to give you the last word on what's coming up in your life. You can promote your channel, tell people what's going on with you, just any last thoughts you want.
Okay, so just more of the same thing. Just more of, like, me sharing my ideas. A lot of the topics that I talk about on my channel are actually things that I get in the comment section of my videos. So people will bring up really good questions, and I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to research it and make a video for you. And that's been cool because it's kind of created a community, and I don't have I don't have any minimalist friends in real life or family members, or vegan for that matter. So my channel is of, like, an awesome community for me that I just love to hear people say, like recommend things for me, and I don't know, it's been amazing. So yeah, stay tuned, and I'm going to definitely tell everyone on my channel, your guys' channel as well. I love what you guys are doing, and I think the interview session is a really cool way because, as I said, it kind of makes it a conversation rather than just me talking to a camera and I can't see other people.
And we love learning from, you know, people like you. It's really cool. We always glean little bits as we continue because we're still kind of early on in our journey. So we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
Oh, no worries. Well, it was cool to meet you guys. Good luck with everything, and I'm really excited to see what's coming up on your channel as well.
Likewise, we'll stay tuned.
So viewers, check out Melissa Alexandria 01's channel to follow her. She's got so many videos with all these great little tips, and they're nice and small in little bite-sized pieces. They're not like 30 minutes long like our interviews, so they're doable. But we're so happy to have her, and we will see you guys later.
Bye. Thank you.